Hey everybody, guess what? It's Thursday. And if you haven't heard the news yet, it's PSL day. So go get your pumpkin spice latte. But we're also here with the Undercovers because they're coming to Franklin Theater. But before we get started, hey, I just want to know, are you guys pumpkin spice latte fans?
Absolutely.
No.
Oh no.
Sorry. Does that disqualify me from
You're out. Gotta go. No,
I'll learn
actually,
to love it.
I'm not a big pumpkin spice. I hate to say this. I am not a big pumpkin spice latte person. I like pumpkin flavored food items. I don't necessarily want it in my drink.
Yeah, I love pumpkin pie, and maybe that's the problem. I like it so much that it in a liquid form it feels really strange.
Yeah, it's not the same. For those of you who I saw at the Starbucks line waiting to get the first taste of the season, more power to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, let's talk about your show. You're coming to the Franklin Theater on Friday, September 20th, which is, I can't believe September is just around the corner, literally. Tell us, how many times have you been to Franklin?
How many times? Well, we were in Franklin to perform. Kind of never really,
Never.
other than doing industry showcases and stuff in the greater Nashville area.
Yeah.
And I think one time with another project I had, we played the Exit in Nashville. So we've never been to Franklin proper.
Yeah, so it's it's actually kind of a bucket list theater for us to play.
Absolutely.
We were really excited about the opportunity. Such a beautiful theater.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's kind of our version of a mini Ryman. Like it's small and it's intimate and the sound is amazing.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to enjoy it, especially for you being your first time.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you guys about your band name. Okay, so Undercovers. I was really curious about that, but I looked some things up, but I would love to know your take on how that name came about.
Well, what we're doing artistically works well in an entertainment space that has traditionally been dominated by tribute bands. So bringing people music that they're familiar with, that they grew up with, has usually been the domain of tribute bands. So, ABBA bands and Bee Gees and Elvis tributes and all that stuff. But that space is always about putting on the wig and the costumes and imitating the artist you're coming to see.
Right.
And so we sort of felt like what we were doing artistically was paying tribute to music that people are familiar with, that they grew up with, songs that they love, that hopefully they'll fall in love with again. But we were kind of infiltrating that kind of tribute space. But we are also looking to elevate the art form of doing cover songs. And so it was just sort of a play on words, this idea of being maybe mildly subversive in this entertainment space and honoring these cover songs and these artists that we're paying tribute to.
Yeah, I like that because it's clever and it makes you think. So kudos to you. Let's talk about those covers that you have. Kenny Rogers, great artist. Like I got to see him one of his last performances here in Nashville before he died. In that he's such an incredible artist. What made you choose to cover Kenny Rogers?
Well, we've been very surprised by the connection between Kenny, particularly Kenny and Lionel. I've also been lucky to spend some time with Smokey Robinson, and who's actually is a fan of what we've done with his music. To Joel's point, really reimagining it, not the costumes and wigs. He really loved that we flipped these songs on their head. And so getting his approval was huge. And when we talked to him, he was such good friends with Kenny and had such a reverence for him, his voice, his ability. I mean, he actually kind of reimagined music as well. Like you think about a song like The Gambler, that was covered quite a few times. But when Kenny took it and did his thing with it, game over.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the only version most people remember, don't you think?
The only version I remember, except for our version, which
of course,
and again to Joel's point, just really we took that one, and Joel has such a interesting story when he was growing up and his connection to that song, and we're not allowed to give it away because you kind of have to come to the show to get the full story, but he has this really interesting connection to it and a real incentive to have taken it and kind of taken it into a bit of more of an island feel, which was super fun. And the video is out right now, and we're really excited because the video is getting just, I don't know if it's gone viral, but I think we're eclipsing 500,000 views on it. And
Oh, wow.
people are really responding to these reimages, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. And Lionel Richie, and see, the three artists that we're paying tribute in the show are Kenny Rogers, Lionel Richie, and Smokey Robinson. And we like to tell stories in the show, the interconnectedness between these artists. I mean, a lot of people don't know that Lionel Richie actually wrote and produced a lot of Kenny's biggest songs.
Yeah, so, he actually lived with him, I think, for a while, like on his property.
That sounds right. And I mean, and Lionel Richie grew up in Tuskegee, Alabama. I mean, Lionel grew up as a kid, a huge fan of country music. And you could sort of hear that in a lot of his writing. And years later, Lionel ended up covering his own songs and doing them as country, reimagining them as country songs. Yeah. So I'm always been a huge fan of artists that can continually reinvent themselves. Kenny Rogers was like that. I mean, a song like The Gambler or a song like, Coward of the County is so different from Islands in the Stream.
Right.
Same artist. Or Lady. Yeah. Like, it's just these artists that had such a depth in their catalog.
And I think what happens too is because we're all such massive fans of these three artists, and because we're covering all three, it's allowed us to create a consistent sound across throughout the set because we're reimagining it, and because they're different artists, and to do kind of a few really country style versions of Kenny and try to do them like Kenny did them and try to do them as well as Kenny did. It's like, I don't want to try to do that. I just want it to be our own version. And then, like, I think Jolie had a really good saying, let people fall in love with them, maybe feel like they're falling in love with them all over again because they're hearing them from a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I like that you aren't trying to mimic exactly, because I feel like that's so hard. How can you?
You can't.
Well, then you start to veer into karaoke territory.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with karaoke, but karaoke is something you do with your friends in a bar when you've had a couple of too many. It's not the kind of show that we would like to bring to a storied venue like the Franklin Theater, right? Like, we want to bring something that survives on its own artistic merit, and it's not about imitating what you've already heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about bringing a new take on those songs, you're releasing some music. You're going to have songs that people can listen to. And like you said, you've already got the video that's gone semi-viral. I don't know. What is the cutoff for viral these days?
I think if we get over 1 million, for us and for our objectives, I would call it a viral video.
Okay.
So we got another.
We'll go with it. But tell us about the music you're releasing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a full-length album, and we've chosen. We were joking the other day, like, I don't know if it nearly came to blows, but choosing which songs to do was really tricky because all three of these artists just have such an incredible discography. But we did come to a consensus, and we spent a lot of time in the studio, and even we're lucky enough that we were already doing some shows before we started recording. So we actually tried stuff out live, which was, it's not, you don't always get the chance to do that. And I'm a big believer in being able to do songs live, feel them out in that moment, and then go, okay, we got to take this into the studio. We got to record this so that people can, first of all, access the music after the show, because we get a lot of requests for that. It's like, it's kind of been frustrating because people are like, okay, we want to buy your album, but you don't have one yet. But we had a demand to start doing shows really in the early days, which was great. So we're just kind of playing catch up.
And we've got 3 singles out. We've got 3 singles already released on all the digital platforms like Spotify and Apple Music already.
Yeah.
So we've been leaking songs every 2 months over this past year to set up the album release, which we don't have a confirmed date, but it'll be this fall. We're going to be putting out the full-length record. So if people search the Undercovers on Spotify, for instance, there's still 3 songs there to whet your appetite. Say that 10 times fast.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, add to your playlists. And there will be, I'm pretty confident we'll have music to sell at the show at the Franklin Theater. So.
Okay. That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, the show's coming up Friday, September 20th. I heard there's a few tickets left, but after this, I'm sure they're gonna be gone. So go now. Go to franklintheater.com. That's the website. Find the Undercovers. Get your tickets. We'll see you here in September. I hope you're somewhere cool right now. Still a little warm. Well, actually, today feels like fall, but
Feels
the
like
heat.
fall here. We're in Ontario right now. We have a few
Oh,
shows out here, so it's yeah. I think the folks in Tennessee would have a jacket on. They're not like
probably.
Canadian guys that can go out in short sleeve t-shirts in the wintertime.
Oh my word. Hey, it's great talking to you guys. We'll see you soon here in Frank.